Welcome to the Seriously podcast. I'm your host, Annaliese and Alexander. Now let's get into it. Welcome to the Seriously podcast, where we make light of serious conversations with really interesting people. Welcome back to the Seriously podcast. I'm your host, Annaliese, and this week we have Alexander Circosta.
Thank you very much, Annaliese. I'm ready to get seriously with you.
I'm so excited that you're here. You're a model,
Thank you.
presenter,
Yes,
a host, an MC.
Yes.
What don't you do? And you're a Perthonality.
My favourite thing to be is a Perthonality.
I know it is. You just literally hosted, weren't you the MC at Crown?
Yes.
Nobu.
I was at
For
Nobu.
the Melbourne Cup.
Oh, it was delicious. The food at Nobu is fantastic. And I'm like, I was about to say not sponsored, but in a way I kind of am because I was paid to be there. But it was good. It was actually delicious. And
nice.
Crown always does fantastic events. I've managed to MC a lot of events at Crown. And when you think about your life, right, Annalise, when you are little, you never think that you'll be like on this stage in this ballroom that's been decorated with lights, and then you turn around and like your name is on the back wall.
Well, if you're you, that happens.
And it only took a short 15 years to get there.
Yeah. So tell me, like, you've done so well. You've done so much in your career. You're very well known amongst the scene.
Thank you.
Like, just to put it lightly. How did you get into this industry?
It's one of those things that, you know, when you grow up and you do you encouraged to be in the creative arts. My parents were always very encouraging of that space. They took us to like see ballet, and I saw musicals, and music was always played in the house. We were encouraged to play an instrument. I played the clarinet, which is Mozart's favourite instrument. Just a bit of trivia there. My good friend Mozart. And when you grow up in that environment where creativity is always encouraged and celebrated, eventually you yearn to be part of that as potentially a career, but there's always the more serious side. So I also studied law at university. So my whole thing was, I'll become a lawyer, I'll become a politician. And what's really interesting actually is from my pre-primary, we had to write down, what do I want to be when I grow up? And I actually wrote down lawyer, which
Really?
I find crazy as such a small child.
How old were you?
This is pre-primary, so I was like 6. Yeah. Right? I was like, how would I ever even, like, how did that enter into my mind? Maybe I was just very, interested in jurisprudence in the High Court at a young age.
very high IQ.
Yeah, politically astute. I was very mindful of that, unionising the playground and things like that. But that kind of carried through all the way to high school and then to university. And then once I'd graduated and was at the College of Law, which is where you do your practical legal training to be admitted to the bar to actually practice as a lawyer, I had that moment of like sitting in a room doing an exam for, I think it was civil procedure, and just like looking out the window and being just like, I can see myself being anywhere but here. And I use that as my gauge. If you're somewhere and you are like imagining yourself anywhere else, that means you're in the wrong space. Because when you're where you're meant to be, you don't fantasize about being anywhere else. So when I'm on stage emceeing, I'm there. When I'm in a musical performing, I'm there. When I'm lecturing for students, I'm there. When I'm at the movies doing my vox pops or whatever, I'm there. I'm not somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's a guide that I really try to kind of key in and listen into. And I think a lot of us silence that voice. You're like, it's fine. I'll just stay here. The money's good or whatever. It's like, no, you need to go to where. Listen to that inner voice. Listen to where you're fantasizing about being. That it's telling you where to go.
Your intuition, absolutely. And in saying that, you are a model. You recently did a big campaign for Johnny Bigg.
I know.
And walked for MJ Bale.
Oh, so much fun. So much
They're
fun.
massive companies. That was national. Like that was everywhere. Walked into the shop and I'm like, oh my God, there's Alexander.
Yeah.
Then you're there again. And I'm like, I see you everywhere, even when I go shopping.
I said to everyone who walked past it, I was like, I'm just watching over you like a hot angel.
You did look hot.
Thank you.
Congrats.
It's one of those things where you never think, right? You never think you'll get given an opportunity to, because you always walk past stores and be like, wouldn't that be cool to be in like the window of the store or in Myers and stuff like that? And when the opportunity presented itself, you straight away obviously think like, they're not going to choose me, like they'll choose someone else. And it's that sense of self-worth that you have to like, well, I shifted it for, well, why not me? Why don't I get, like, I'm not saying I need to be in every single campaign ever, but like, why not this opportunity? The stars align, why not? And I can understand why people love this industry, because where else are you going to get to be flown to another place, put in a beautiful hotel, on set, your coffee order, food provided, and just people fawning over you, adjusting your hair, doing your hair, your makeup, adjusting the clothes on you, and you don't have to be concerned about any of those things, as I'm sure you've experienced as well as a model. You do feel very special.
I know.
You're like, oh my gosh, and all of these people are just trying to make you look good. And yeah, it's wonderful. What a wonderful thing. And,
it is.
And then the product of it, to then just walk around stores and be like, oh, that's just a giant poster of me, or that's a billboard of me.
Yeah.
And we're in an industry, Annaliese, where so many people are always asking us, what do you do though? Like, but what do you do? It's almost like we don't have the social proofing of the 9 to 5. Whereas if you do modeling and things, when it turns tangible, when you're in a magazine or you're on a poster, people are like, oh, you do, I saw that.
I saw you in this.
Yeah, now it's real. But for us, it's always been real, right?
I know. So many people message me. They're like, I saw you in this today.
Yeah. I literally was going to message you the other day. I was at Hillary's, and it's like a beautiful poster of you there at the front.
In my lingerie.
In your lingerie. Beautiful.
Thank
Victoria's
you.
Secreting it up. And I was like, hey, and there's something nice about it, because it's like, I know that person.
I know, it's so funny, hey?
It is.
Especially Perth, and like Perthonality is like, there is like a core group of us as friends, and we all hang out. We see each other all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like nice when one of us wins.
Yes.
So when I saw your poster, I was like, killing it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a poster, it was like a billboard. It was massive.
Point to the Perth team, right? We got to play it up for the Eastern States, so he's taking all the points.
It's not a competition, but it is.
But in a way it is.
Yeah. No, you've done so well. And,
Thank you.
You know, we recently did together, we went to a school.
Yes.
And we actually did a presentation on body diversity in the media. And, you know, I recommended you to the client because I was like, you're a great role model for so many young men and men in general, because you are in the media. You're not your stock standard, I guess, like, because a lot of the people in runway and things like that, they're more... Well, they're gaunt.
They're very skinny.
Yeah.
Very skinny.
And I can say that because I used to be like that. Now I'm a curve model. And like, you have been very open with your, you know, your journey with body dysmorphia. So there is a dark side to this industry as well.
100%.
Do you mind opening up a bit about that?
Yeah, of course. I think it's very interesting because you try to track back to when it developed, because you're always kind of like, well, what affected this? Because for my entire childhood, I didn't have that sense of that. And it's only... upon entry, it's almost like the thought is implanted in you, or like you don't think about it until it begins to affect you. And it happened pretty much after teenagehood, when I actually started going to the gym, is when I developed that sense of like, oh, I'm not good enough. Because before then, I never had the benchmarks. It's like I wasn't comparing myself to anyone. I was like, I'm a fun kind of person. I just enjoy life. And I'm not even sure what really... It's not that I was like, oh, I hate myself, I'm going to go to the gym. I think it was spurned on by the fact of like, oh, I want to get a bit stronger. So then I started going to the gym, and very quickly, the environment of a gym encourages and develops things like there's always more you can do. You can always lift heavier. You can always be stricter with your diet. You can always take better supplements. You can always get your sleep patterns. And I found very quickly I went from 0 to 100, whereby I was so conscious of losing, not weight, body fat percentage, because that's what it's about. It's about having a low body fat percentage. And these markers that are like, well, you'll have abs if you're below like 10% body fat, and at 15% you're this, and at 20% you're this, and they'll do a body fat percentage on you. And I remember starting at like 30% and being told like, oh, that's in the like overweight, red zone, like straight away, all the triggers that you otherwise, no one's ever referring to themselves like, hi, my name's Alexander, this is my body fat percentage.
Yeah, only and I'm classified as obese when you're not.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
And once those markers start, and then you get addicted to the idea of like moving down. So like, I think I started training when I was at 105 kilos, and within, I think it was a year and a half, I got into something crazy like 87 kilos.
But you're tall.
Exactly.
So 105 is quite normal
quite
for you,
normal
isn't
for
it?
the height.
Yeah.
And you get addicted to it. And I'd made myself gluten-free, even though I wasn't gluten intolerant. And you cut out any kind of sugary drinks, or you cut out sugar. That's like sugar is poison, like, and all these things, and something that's only like vegetables and canned tuna and lean foods, and it's got to be lean turkey, and you can have avocado, but only half an avocado, and make sure that in the morning you have your hot water with lemon in it for alkalizing the body, and you just get obsessed. And then what's so hard is that even when you get to that level, like the whole thing at the gym I was at was like, oh, we'll take a photo like from when you start and then when you get to that level. And I got to that level, and then they said, oh, can we put put your photo up to show, like, you know, those classic before and after photos.
Was this at F45?
No,
Okay.
that was after.
Yeah.
And I said no. I was just like, I didn't feel comfortable to put the photo up despite losing all that weight, and sort of, you would think that would be the sense of achievement, right? To be like, wow, I lost all this weight and now I feel great and I'm really proud. But it's almost like I was like, no, I still don't look good enough.
So why didn't you want to do the photo? Was it because of that reason?
I didn't feel good enough still. So it's almost like I followed this path extremely and then still didn't feel good enough, because it was never about the physicality. It's always the thing that you created in your mind. You were fine before.
Absolutely. And this is what I always say. Your number on the scale will change. Your worth does not. And I'm the biggest right now I've ever been.
Me too.
I'm
good for us.
Sexy mofos. And I'm the happiest I've ever been, the most mentally stable, and, you know, the most successful I've ever been, because I'm being myself and I'm not eating like a rabbit, and I'm fueling myself, going to the gym and being healthy.
Yes.
And, you know, when you try and fight against what you naturally are, your body retaliates. And I'm the same. When I was at my skinniest, I hated myself.
Yeah.
And now I love myself, but it's taken a long time. So, like, what has your journey been like with self-love? Like, where are you?
There's a beautiful quote, I think it's by a New York writer, Caroline Caldwell, and it's about how, like, in a world that profits off self-doubt, an act of rebellion is loving yourself. And I really love that, because we're surrounded, especially working in media, by messaging that is literally telling you, you are not good enough. And you don't deserve these things, and this is all inaccessible to you. And I love the fact that, particularly this year, after I lost a relative, and it really just, whenever you lose someone close to you, your perception of your life changes, because you start to realize what's actually important. And you think all that wasted time, as usual, wasted time in life of feeling, oh no, not me, not me. It's like, at a certain point, it's like, own it. This is your life. And I'm not saying everyone has to be obsessed with you and you need to be famous, because none of that stuff matters. But you need to be able to look in the mirror every morning and, say, I love you. And you'd be surprised. And we know, like, we all struggle with it. It's not unique. Even, like we said, at our skinniest, we still didn't feel good enough. So you hear it all the time from the supermodels. You hear it all the time from all these people in media feeling like imposters. So you kind of think, how can we all be in this space and all still perpetuate this space when we actually all genuinely just need to say, like, no, I'm good enough. I love myself. I work hard. I deserve good things. I'm a good person. So I think particularly this year after that happened, I really feel now more than ever to be like, no, I'm not going to let someone throw water on my fire.
I'm really sorry about that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's so hard in life. Like, we think we all, it was interesting. The palliative care doctor said something. He said, there's a percentage of the population, I think he said 20% of people think they'll live forever. He goes, it's almost like they're in this delusion. And I was like, wow. And in a way, I think we all can quickly fall into the trap of thinking that we're all going to live forever. Because you're like, oh, well, I just won't think about it. But it's just like, we do have a limited time here. So why not love ourselves? Because we've heard when people are older and they look back and they're like, oh my God, I wish I'd gone to the beach more. I wish I hadn't been so self-conscious. I wish I'd done that, or I wish I'd, and you kind of think, no, we've got to do it now. If not you, who? If not now, when? Like, why not you? Let's shift that narrative. Let's continue shifting it, because we can see it in the industry that tokenistically we're moving like, oh yeah, it's all about body positivity. But the undercurrent behind that is still very much pulling us back towards what it was. It's like we're saying body positivity, but we're not really saying it, are we?
Interesting. And like with saying like 20% of the population think they'll live forever,
I
right?
know, crazy.
But with that comes, okay, cool. You then have to look after yourself. Do you know what I mean? And like a lot of the media portrays and what they do portray, like, you know, injecting yourself with Ozempic or, you know, getting Botox or getting surgery or eating nothing so you're skinny. Like, you got to look after yourself, because then that's not longevity.
No,
that's not healthy.
No, it's not. And it's sad to think
But that's what everyone promotes.
And at a younger and younger age.
It's shocking.
It's very sad because the corporate interests that kind of control at least legacy media, there's so many corporate partners to a media network that they're actually beholden to. Like, so many. I used to make a joke about the West Australian. I was like, you mean the Harvey Norman catalogue? Because half of it is like obviously Harvey Norman advertising.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because then you're like, well, how can you speak against something that you profit from? So when a business is involved in something, they're not going to let you badmouth them. So there's not that true impartiality anymore in media.
No.
The ethics kind of get thrown out the window because it's about views and clicks. And yeah, I'm a very big fan of new media because there's a democratization. So people who otherwise wouldn't be platformed have an opportunity to be platformed and speak on important issues from a different perspective that otherwise would never be heard.
Yes.
But by the same token, it's an unregulated space whereby anyone could be platformed because they might have just, I don't know, done something viral and suddenly we're listening to them about their political opinions or their thoughts on body positivity, or the people who kind of speak against that movement as well. So I think the best thing we can all do now is to think of how to develop our media critical literacy and just really start to ask the questions like, who's paying for this? Follow the money behind posts.
So true.
Be more critical in how you approach your media, both your social and digital and legacy as well, because there's a lot of corporate interests involved in a lot of media. So
there is a lot of money.
A lot of money.
And you'd be shocked if you knew. Yeah.
Oh, it blows your mind sometimes when you hear what people have been paid for some stuff. You're like, I'm sorry, how much?
I know.
And they're more than happy to kind of, in a way, because it's an industry whereby if you're not willing to do it, let's say you have your boundaries, we'll find someone else then. Oh, you don't want to do that? Well, we'll find someone else.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the power dynamic is so huge. And as creative people, we're at the whims of these other people.
That's the thing. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
With modelling, so for example, like when I've been on set and like me and you are like a regular body type, I would say. Like we're more like mid-sized people. Do you feel outnumbered or isolated ever? Because I'm usually the token mid-sized person.
Yeah. It's awful, isn't it?
Do you feel like that? Or as a man, like...
It's a bit with men is all about...
Yours is a positive thing, isn't it?
Well, it's like about being big is a good thing if you're big, muscular-wise. Women, it's always been like you...
Be small,
stay small, be demure, be slight, be waifish.
And then I'm this giant, like, moodang. So for you, it's actually like a positive experience.
Well, it's the opposite. So you don't want to be like, unless you're doing obviously editorial runway where some of those designers, like the high end ones, they do want kind of very skinny
men. Abs and they want like Calvin Klein vibes.
Calvin Klein vibes, and that's the comparison. I remember when I was focusing on my bench at the gym, the weight that I decided I needed to bench, which is ridiculous, was based off what Channing Tatum had written in a Men's Health article.
What was it?
140 kilos.
And is that realistic?
I mean, I'm doing my best to get there, but I got to 125 kilo bench, which I'm pretty proud of. That's a huge amount of weight.
That's really good.
But by the same token, you are setting up an unrealistic standard based off what?
Plus, he's come out and said that to get to that body type.
Yeah.
He was miserable.
Exactly.
Like he starved himself.
But they all still do it. All the ones that never say that they've done, like men, obviously, it's all about muscularity. Roids. Yeah. They're all doing it, but they're never any of them same. I don't mind that they're doing it.
Neither
your
do
prerogative, your body,
honest.
your choice. Yeah. But please be honest, because otherwise... people are growing up with this just like warped perception of like, why don't I look like Thor?
Why am I not that lean?
Yeah. And you never, and it's actually medically impossible for you to get to that level without human growth hormone.
Same with women's bodies. Like I know it's like, girl, you've had a BBL.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yes.
I can see you've had a boob job. It's so fine. I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
But just be honest.
Be
don't
honest.
say, oh, I hit puberty.
Yeah.
Like, come
yeah.
on.
You hit puberty at 28. Like,
You did well then.
yeah. Hit puberty. Many needles. Yes.
So I guess your experience as being in like a mid-sized model then is more positive.
Yeah, on one side,
As a man.
It's as usual, the men get, but they don't get paid as much as the women in modelling. There you go. So there's a bit of disparity there. Thank goodness.
It's the only industry.
Industry in the world where the women actually get paid
sex
more.
work.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
They do really well.
The two oldest professions: sex work and modelling. I know. I've read the Bible.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting because you're never big enough, you're never lean enough. So it's just the opposite end of it. So you're trying to always be more muscular, and you need a big chest, but you need a small waist. It needs to have that V shape. So it's tiny waist, 32-inch waist, but 45-inch chest.
So what size are you?
I'm a big chest. I've got a big chest. I've probably finished like an extra large. I'm a 38 waist and a 46 chest. So,
nice.
yeah.
So you're like the ideal, because
I'm big, which is good.
This is so funny. I'm not hitting on you because we're friends. It's fucking weird. Everyone goes, Annaliese, what's your type? I like at least extra large.
Yeah. It's
That's
good to
my
be
vibe.
big.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
Like I'm just only attracted to big, not big. I don't like that word, but manly.
Strong.
Figures. Yeah, strong.
Yeah, and there's a difference between strength and muscles.
Like you fix the roadcaster.
That's all a girl
needs. That was very manly.
Just needs someone to fix a roadcaster. And I think when I shifted my perception in the gym, as opposed to saying like, and it sounds stupid, but I always used to think like, I want to know that in the event of like a crisis, that if someone needs to be lifted, I can lift them. Like that sense of that. Not that I can lift a car, but you probably noticed in a lot of my social media, I'm always like lifting people.
You really are.
Yeah, I'm always lifting people. But I love that idea of like, I'm not going to be the person where like, oh my God, we've got to go now. And there's some elderly person or someone who's potentially infirm who can't. I was like, don't worry, let's go. Like that Superman complex. I don't know. But I like that I train for strength now a lot more.
Yeah.
Like I want to know that if I need to, I can lift someone.
But was before more about being lean?
Aesthetic, yeah. It was just always about that. Obsessed with trying to be as lean. And I had this photo shoot done where I was just like, and then I can I finally do the underwear photo shoot. And then we can get more work in that space.
Yeah.
And even then, you feel empowered in the moment, and the photographer's great, and all that stuff's great. But then afterwards, it's like, it's still not good enough. And then you're almost tempted to be like, well, if we edit it slightly, you're like, what am I doing?
And you're like, this isn't even me.
It's not even me.
Because I was a size 6.
Wow.
I've doubled my size.
Right.
I was tiny, and I went through the same thing. I was like, who is this twig?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying people who would like that are twigs.
No,
I'm like nearly 6 foot, but so it doesn't suit me.
No.
Naturally, I'm
and
a bigger girl.
It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. I couldn't eat anything.
And it's not like when you were at that, then suddenly, you know what? Then I was booked for 100 jobs.
No, I was booked for nothing.
There we go. Isn't that
amazing.
That ironic?
And do you feel like that as well? Like, are you more successful being yourself?
It's so weird because even now, I'm still working through that idea that I'm like, well, maybe if I was like really ripped, then I'd be on a travel show. Like that's what was almost holding you back.
That's not what the clients want.
No.
They want you. Like they book you for you.
Yeah, you want to be wanted for you. Because if you're wanted for this version of you that you're masquerading as, then eventually you'll get tired of, I always use the metaphor of tap dancing. Eventually you'll get tired of tap dancing. You can't tap dance forever.
True. Oh my God.
You can't. And at a certain point, it's like, I'm tired of tap dancing for these people. And it's like, to what end? If I remember applying for modeling agencies when I was 19 and 20 and getting the like, thanks for applying, like handsome face, but no thank you. And then it's almost like you allow other people to just shut down your dream. It's not like they could see that, in 10 years, actually, you'll get booked a lot. Let's foster you, let's mentor you. And I think one of the best things you can have in this industry is a mentor. Someone who's been through it and can actually say to you, you know what, Annaliese, keep going. Because there's so many people telling you like, you're probably over like that industry is a young person. You're like, but you're still a young person. And it's also not a young person's game because people buy clothes, people buy product at every age.
80.
Yeah. Why not you keep modeling, and why not allow the industry to evolve with these people? Because no wonder everyone feels insignificant because you're getting compared to some 19-year-old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it hurts my feeling when, women go, I'm like in my marketing job, one of these ladies came up to me and was like, once you pass this age, everyone forgets you.
Yeah.
And I was like, take that back.
Yes. No, it's true.
As you get older, you get richer.
Yes.
You get more successful. You get wiser. Life gets better.
It does.
And like, okay, cool. People might look younger.
Yeah.
Cool. There's going to always be someone younger, better, whatever. But you need to embrace who you are at the moment and like really love you for you.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Beauty is not an age.
it's not.
It's not. Beauty has always been ageless.
It's not an 18-year-old girl or boy.
No, it's not. And yet that is very much what's perpetuated. So that is the best advice, to really think. For everyone who's ever told you no, that was almost telling you that you're going in the right direction. When people are like, oh, you're probably about, how old are you now? Oh, okay. Well, we generally only, it's like, okay, good to know. And I'll keep going.
Yeah.
Prove them wrong. Because one day, you will be, like we've been very blessed to be, you'll be the people who are walking past somewhere and they're like, is that you? And you'll be like, yeah, it is.
Yeah, I know. I feel very blessed to be in this industry, as probably you do. Like, I feel like sometimes I feel bad because I'm like,
how lucky are we, right? To get
I feel like
paid.
we've just landed. I don't know, but we haven't. It's a lot of work, but it has to choose you back. Like, you can't just go, I want to be a model.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, it's like anything. Like,
yeah, and it is the moments that are shown are obviously the beautiful highlights of it.
But there's a lot of low moments.
There's a lot.
It's a rejection.
So much rejection. And so many self-tests and tapes and photos that you send in. And you're always like, where are these photos going to end up? All these, when you're auditioning for TV ads and it's like, pretend the pillow is a child. And you've just got these videos where you're like hugging this pillow.
I know, the weirdest shit that I've had to do.
Oh my God.
Or when you have to test and talk to yourself and the script is someone else, but they're not there.
Yeah, they're not there.
And I'm just waiting to a gap.
Yeah.
It's like
and then
weird.
talking, and then you get no feedback, awkward. So you have no sense of whether it was
and I'm
good
like,
or not.
Oh, the client's gone a different way. And I'm like, why?
Why? No we never get told.
No, it's pretty much
all
like your shit.
Out of your control. And the thing that it could be as simple as they've just said the client's gone another way, but they literally went like, oh, we didn't want to use a female anymore. We're using two men.
So small.
And you don't know that.
No.
Oh, the hair color was wrong. Or we wanted short hair.
And working from the back end as a marketer.
Yes,
I see it now. And I'm like, it's never personal. It's just like, we just want this. The boss wants this. So it's
100%. It's never actually personal.
No.
They don't actually think. I know we'd like to think they think about us that much. They're like, what about this person's hopes and dreams? No.
They literally just see like a little comp card.
Oh, yeah, that's the right height. Oh, no, the other talent's taller, so we can't use them. Like,
it's so
simple stuff like that.
Minimalistic. But rejection is like, I think, the hardest part of this job. Like, as much as it's glamorous, we get a lot of perks, we get a lot of free stuff.
Yes.
It's quite luxury in a lot of ways. But yeah, the rejection, like the amount of times I'm like, I'm quitting.
Yeah.
Have you felt like that?
Yeah, all the time. And I think it's important that people understand that is part of it.
If you can't handle rejection, don't try and get in.
You must.
Social media, modelling.
None of it. Media.
You need to be a bad ass bitch.
And to own that, because the reality is it's almost like the more opportunities you get, the more people that actually will like you, but also will dislike you.
Most people are not going to like you.
They're not going to like you. You're going to be in competition with people, and people will be very nice to your face, and then you'll be like, oh, but behind your back, they're like, oh, they're difficult to work with. Because everyone's trying to get ahead, and some people go about it that way, and some people try to come from the abundance mentality, which is what I really try to do. Because I always try to instill, it's like, no one's stopping you from doing it. Because people are always like, should I get an agent? Should I get this? I was like, don't even worry about an agent yet. Just get your phone. You've got the phone. Start taking some photos. People always want to I want to work for like Dior. So then they'll like do photo shoots trying to be like a Dior model. It's like, how about you look around at the businesses that need help right here in your area? Mm-hmm. Where do you get your hair done? They would love someone to come in and maybe make a video for them. Start small and show the value you can bring.
Yeah.
As opposed to just expecting people to give you something just because you want it.
Start small.
Yeah, start small.
My first ever modelling job was like Big W. No, not Big W, sorry. It was Bunbury Forum.
Nice.
Noni B.
Noni B.
And I was 15.
The irony is like targeted towards like the 40 plus woman. Oh, 65.
Like I looked like an old woman, but I was 15. They even did my hair like a grandma.
I need to see this
But
photo.
I started real fucking small. So that was my first job. So like people go, I want to do this. Okay, start doing the local stuff.
Exactly.
Then you can do the national stuff later. But it takes time as well.
It takes time. It's not this discovery thing and then it all changes. No. Yes.
Unless you're like Miranda Kerr.
And
but there's
apparently
1%.
Yeah, 1%ers. And there's so much that goes on behind the scenes with those people as well. That the narrative is romanticized to be like, they were just walking down the street and a car stopped and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, any other time a car stops close to you down the street, you're about to be attacked.
Overnight 10-year success.
Yeah, that's exactly how a lot of people say.
Yeah.
And it's not. And keep going. And If something's not working, pivot. Like the industry isn't just
you've pivoted
pivot.
You do so many things.
Yeah, and I believe in thinking laterally in this industry. Don't limit yourself. There is, like we've said, there's so much out of your control. You can't control casting directors. You can't control brand campaigns. You can't control any of that. What you can control is the skill sets you bring. So if you're someone who is interested in modeling, great. What can you control? Well, what else should models be able to do? Present. Because what's more valuable than a model by themselves is a model who can also present. Because a lot of campaigns now, they need content. So maybe develop your skills in making content. Because if you're on set and you make awesome content, they'll be like, that model was great. They came, they look great in the clothes. They made these fun reels that went somewhat viral on the internet. And they sent us all these photos they took behind the scenes. They were great to get along with. You bring so much more value and you're more memorable that way. So think of yourself and all your skill sets you can develop. No one's stopping people from getting good at making a reel. No one's stopping you from learning how to take good photos photography-wise, investing in a camera in the future. Develop your skills because that's what will be your point of difference. Otherwise, unfortunately, model is a very general brush. And everyone can say they're a model. Like, that's not exclusive.
And the thing with modelling, like, it's good money if you're the 1%. It's great money. Like, let's be honest.
For the work, yeah.
It really is, but...
You're not going to book 15 campaigns a month, though.
No, unless you're in Europe.
Yeah.
We're in Australia. It's a small market.
Very much so.
Like, even the top models that I know have other jobs.
Yeah.
They do. They all have, like, 2 jobs, three jobs. And, you know, they part-time at the office or they do this. And, you know, that's the reality of the industry.
Correct. And that's why to not give the illusion, particularly to young people, that it's just going to be this dream career of just photo shoots and trips and traveling all the time. And you don't really have to worry about anything because other people will handle it for you. Now more than ever, you need to take control of
Nothing in life is free.
No.
Yeah, or easy. That's worth having.
Absolutely.
And that looks that nice. It's not easy to get to that stage.
No.
It takes, like, as you said, 10 years, 15 years for yourself.
And yeah, like you were saying, lots of rejection. You have to galvanize yourself in this industry by the constant rejection will make you stronger, and know that, like, keep working towards something, like keep dreaming big, but be realistic as well.
I love that. Have you got any plans that you can talk about? You've got coming up? Any travel plans? Anything you want to do?
I would love to travel more. So one of my dreams, as we have many dreams in our lives.
Yes.
So I was very fortunate. I got to present on a show on 7 that was like a home show. So it was home in WA. And
it looks so good.
It was so much fun. We got to visit all these beautiful apartments and just have fun interviewing different people and stuff like that. And I was always just like, and it feels like I'm at the tail end of TV now, though, because like television is obviously changing a lot. It's all about the streaming services. So Netflix, if you're out there, to do a travel show, like where I got to go around like countries, like that is a dream job. If you get
perfect.
To be on a travel show, we're going to like Europe and getting to go around all these European countries and then flying to Japan and like even that show where he gets to go around and eat food, I was like, I'll do it for like less money. I would love to be on a travel show.
Yeah.
I think there's just so much fun in that. And then the other dream that is always sort of at the back of my mind, and you know how they say if you aim for nothing, you'll hit nothing. So I always try to have a few like aims that I'm working towards.
I love that.
Yeah. And would be to be on like a morning show of some kind and getting to be a roving reporter, because I love to interact with people. I love doing community events, and I love the idea of like the live cross to somewhere. It's like, where are you today, Alexander? I'm just dressed as Superman somewhere for like the fun run or something like that.
You would be so good at that.
I would love that. I really enjoy that space. So some of those two. And modeling, I would just love to keep doing it because it's so much fun.
You can do it forever.
Oh my gosh.
You can.
And like I love working with local brands and new brands and people who are pushing, particularly menswear, because menswear is obviously always kept within a more contained space. Women's wear has so much variety. Menswear is always like, this year's blue suit. It's like, oh, good, another navy suit, everyone. Great.
You look amazing today.
Oh, thank
you.
This is Calabar, this jacket. It's really nice. And
really
then MJ Bale is the rest.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You look so nice.
Oh, thank you, Annaliese. Right back at you.
Oh, yeah.
Models. Smolder.
Thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me everywhere, literally. Like you could turn on the TV and it's me. Go to Karen. And I'll be shopping. I'll be working at the checkout. Mostly online, alexandercircosta.com. And I'm looking forward to our modelling campaign that I've been manifesting since I met you.
I really want to model with you.
I think we should be like, B-Store, or we could be Bonds. We could be the Bonds boy and girl. That could be cool. Bonds.
That's going to happen.
We're ready. We're ready for the Christmas campaign. I know you've probably already shot it, but let's reshoot it.
Let's do the Easter one.
Yeah, we'll do Easter. Us just in cool Bonds clothes holding giant eggs.
Oh my God, that's cute. Alexander, thanks so much.
An absolute pleasure, Annaliese.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in to Seriously. We'll catch you next week for another guest. Bye.